What's up, guys? Today we're talking what the Bears will do with pick 10. I'm narrowing it down to the final four prospects, the Fantastic Four, whatever you want to call them. The four players I believe are highest on Ryan Pohl's big board heading into the NFL draft. We are under 2 weeks away, and I think I've narrowed the Bears' targets down for pick 10, possibly better than anyone out there. This is a video I believe all Bears fans should watch. I've been hard at work on in-depth scouting reports for every single one of the players I'm going to talk about in this video. Those will be releasing over the next 2 weeks, starting on Monday. To me, I believe there are four players who stand out above everyone else when it comes to pick number 10. In total, there are probably 6 or 7 blue chip prospects in this entire draft. Each team's board is going to be different depending on their rankings, but most will probably view the blue chippers in this draft pretty similarly. So that is why positional value goes out the window. I've already done in-depth videos on what positions go high in the draft and why, identifying premium positions. But before we discuss the top prospects on the Bears board, let's quickly talk about bust percentages in the first round. It's not good at all, and the data I collected is from various sources around the internet, but it gives us a basic outline of the last 10 years of first round picks. First, here are the number of first round picks at each position and the number of top 10 picks at each position. You can gather correlation from this, but basically, teams value pass rushers, wide receivers, offensive tackles, cornerbacks, and QBs the most. Those are the premium positions in the NFL. But then when you transfer over and look at bust percentage across the league, these are all the picks in the first round over the last 10 years, and you see that almost every position has a high bust number. Kind of wild to think about the amount of first round picks that don't live up to their potential. Close to half of them overall. Some of them still might become average starters, but they never reach Pro Bowl potential. But honestly, the safest positions are offensive line and running back. It's kind of weird to think about, but tackles and running backs have the lowest bust percentage in round one, at least over the last 10 years. But every player is scouted differently, and people make big deals out of tight end busts. Those people are not seeing the entire picture here and just painting a narrative. But taking all of this data into account, you then have to remember that this year's draft is weird. It's not typical in terms of top end talent. Most drafts have somewhere between 12 and 20 blue chip players. I've been studying the draft my whole life, and it's not an exact science, but what it comes down to is the general consensus. Usually, there's a pool of blue chip prospects at the top of the draft that is a bit deeper than this year's, but the second tier of players is not normally this deep. This year's second tier of guys is possibly one of the deepest in NFL history, but that makes it really weird for the Bears' first round pick and really special for our two second rounders. I think that's one thing that most fans are just not taking into account. It's partially due to the COVID effect, but also due to NIL deals keeping guys in school longer and the lack of blue chip talent at the top of this class. So take all of that into account. You have your bust percentage, you have your position versatility, and then you think about what the Bears look for in draft picks. Character matters. And then you look at this year's draft and where the Bears pick at. And you have a really deep draft, especially on the defensive line, interior line, tight end, and running back. It's a great draft for all of those positions. But what this draft lacks is blue chip talent. And we picked 10th overall, putting us in a really weird spot. Usually, when you pick in the top 10, you want to land a blue chip player. Most years, that's pretty easy, and you just take the best blue chipper on your board. But this year's is different. With only a handful or so of blue chip players, and the Bears picking 10th, they have to get lucky to land one of the blue chippers at pick 10. And if not, then they have to pivot and go somewhere else. And that's why this year's draft is so crazy. One thing I think really helps is I don't think that any of this year's quarterbacks are surefire blue chippers. I do really like Cam Ward, but he's not in the 5 or 6 guys that I consider blue chip talents. So what the Bears need to root for here is multiple quarterbacks to go in the top 10 and then hope one of the blue chip guys falls to them. Who are these blue chip players and who do we want to fall to pick 10? Let's break that down now. First, there are two blue chip players that the Bears simply have zero chance at landing: Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Go ahead and wipe them off your board. Those are the first two blue chip players in this draft, but I'm not talking about those guys because they have no chance of becoming Bears. I don't believe we have a shot at trading up for either of them. So, who are the four guys I have as blue chip prospects that we should be rooting to fall for pick 10? The four players I think the Bears would immediately draft if they were on the board. First up is Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. He probably won't fall to pick 10 either. It's possible none of these guys do. But Mason Graham and these next three players, I believe at least have a chance of falling to us. With Mason Graham, the biggest key is getting past Jacksonville. Most likely they take him at pick 5, but if they don't, we could have a chance at landing him. The next player on this list is Ashton Genty, the Boise State running back who is just simply a special prospect. No matter what these non football knowers want to say about him, I think Genty is the biggest impact player in this year's draft. No, I'm not a big fan of taking running backs in the first round, but I am a big fan of taking the best player available on your draft board. And if Ashton Genty falls to pick 10, a guy who I have as my fourth rated player in the entire draft, to me, that's an easy choice. Next up is a guy that's not talked about enough: Jalen Walker, the linebacker slash edge rusher out of Georgia. He's simply an impact player and a guy who profiles as a difference maker in the NFL. He's not as safe as the other blue chip players. He does require some projection and possibly even moving him around the defense to find his best spots. But he is an incredibly talented pass rusher. He can spy quarterbacks, he can help in the run game, and he's always around the ball making impact plays. He has as much upside as almost anyone in this draft. Most mocks have him going to the Panthers at pick 8, but this draft is going to be extremely unpredictable. And if the Panthers don't take him at pick 8, I think he could very well be on the board at pick 10. Keep an eye on Jalen Walker. And then the fourth player on my list is Penn State's Tyler Warren, the stud tight end. And for those clamoring for Will Campbell, I'll get to him in just a second. I believe he's the backup option if these four are gone. But Tyler Warren is a guy who can literally do it all. A former high school quarterback. He can line up at fullback, running back, tight end, slot receiver, X receiver, or even wildcat quarterback. On top of that, he can also snap the football. He's the only player I've ever seen snap the ball and catch a 60-yard TD pass on the same play in my life. Tyler Warren is special. Would I normally take a tight end top 10? Nope. Do I think we have a huge need at tight end? Nope. But if Tyler Warren is on the board at pick 10, do I believe that Ben Johnson could get the most out of him and he would make an instant impact on our offense? Yes and yes. So it is all about how the board falls, but Tyler Warren might be the most likely player on this list who could fall to pick 10. The Patriots could take him, so could the Jags, Jets, or Panthers, but I do believe it's unlikely, and I think there's a good chance he falls to us at pick 10. Stay tuned if you're a fan for Tyler Warren. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about Will Campbell. Let's say all four of those players get picked. Then what? Then I think Will Campbell would probably be the selection. Honestly, we might even take Will Campbell over Tyler Warren if they were both on the board. I'm just not sure. The arm length and wingspan issues continue to pop up for me, but I will say this: I think Will Campbell might be the safest player in this entire draft. I just can't guarantee what position he'll play, but I'm almost positive that he's going to be a really good starter at either left tackle or left guard. So here's what I think overall. This is why I have a top 4. I think those are the top 4 players on the Bears board, at least as I sit here today. If one of those players falls, you take them. If they don't, then you consider other options. Here are those 3 options. One would be take the best left tackle available. Whether that's Will Campbell, Josh Simmons, Armand Mimbu, or Kelvin Banks Jr., that's up to Ryan Poles in the front office to decide. But one of the options would be just take the best left tackle on your board. Or next up, number 2, take the best pass rusher available or best defensive lineman on your board. Whether that's James Pierce Jr., Michael Williams, Mike Green, or Kenneth Grant, or even Derek Harmon, that's up to Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen. But if those top 4 guys are gone, you could take Will Campbell or the best left tackle, or you take the best defensive lineman. Or my preferred route would be this: landing one of the top 4 blue chip prospects, or if they're all gone, I think it could actually increase the odds that we can trade down out of the pick. Think about it for a second. If Jalen Walker, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, and Tyler Warren all go in the top 10, that means most likely that Shadur Sanders doesn't. So we'd have a QB that a team might be willing to trade up for. Or a team could trade up for one of the offensive tackles, or maybe even want the best cornerback in the draft, someone like Will Johnson. So to me, that's where I set today. 4 blue chip prospects. If one of them falls, you take them. If not, try to trade down. If you can't trade down, then it's pretty easy. You either take the best left tackle or defensive lineman out of a plethora of options that are going to be available. You simply take the highest player on your board. This is why I say we're in such a great position. That's without even talking about the talent I believe is going to fall to us in round 2. I have another video in the works talking about all the potential players that could fall to us in round 2, and one of those guys is James Pierce Jr. I still like him a lot more than most people do, and I still view him as an option at pick 10, but what I'm hearing from people around the league and seeing in all the recent mock drafts, it seems like James Pierce Jr. is going to fall a bit in this draft, and honestly, my biggest hope is somehow we could steal him in round 2. That's my hope, guys. I put a ton of work into this video, but I put way more work into scouting every one of these players. These top 10 to 15 prospects, I've watched every single snap of their college film, and I have full scouting reports coming next week on the Fantastic Four and 5 or 6 others. I'm going to be breaking down everything you know about the Bears' best potential options at pick 10 in short, compact videos for your viewing pleasure. My first full scouting report is on Jalen Walker, the pass rusher out of Georgia. I'm releasing it on Monday, but I plan to release one scouting report every day next week. My question to you guys is, if I release these videos at the same time every day, what time would you guys prefer I release the videos? Early in the morning, noon, or later afternoon? Let me know in the comments. I might release a poll later asking you guys the same question, but I am kind of curious and I think this will be fun. I want to get these scouting reports out this week. I appreciate everyone who watches. Please hit that like button for me. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss out. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.